So he's a big. Well, good morning, everyone. It is a lovely Tuesday morning. I cannot believe. Hello, Jim.
Happy
Say-
belated. Happy
Thank
belated. By the way.
Well, that's always nice. Jim Sexton in the house. You're going to sit and listen to this. Oh, I'm in trouble now. All right. Well, we'll look forward to hearing his comments. So good morning, everyone. It is a lovely Tuesday morning. I cannot believe it is May and it is so cool outside. How did we get that? That is very unusual. So let's get started today. I have current real estate issues. I should really change that slide, so we'll fix that later. And I did not do my timing, so everything's going to come up at once today. What I wanted to talk about was our newsletters. I keep getting information from folks that they're calling me, and it's funny because the information they're asking me for was just in our newsletters. So what I wanted to explain to people is that in the past, I have been doing a Sunday morning newsletter, and thank you for all of you that do open up that newsletter and scroll past the first screen. In the past, that Sunday newsletter has everything in it that we can think of in the kitchen sink. In fact, we've changed some stuff, so we're rotating some things out of there. Usually the first 2 weeks of the month, you will see the $1 Million Club. You'll see our birthdays and anniversaries. You will see if we've gotten it. If it's the first 2 or 3 days, we may not have received it yet, but the market updates, those are in the first 2 of the month. It depends on when that first day of the month is. Then on Tuesday morning, because we have Tuesday training and tactics, Tuesday morning I send out a reminder simply because I found that people on Sundays, they get the information and then by Tuesday they've forgotten about it. So we were sending out a Tuesday morning reminder. Then on Wednesday, we were sending out really a concise calendar with all the links to the upcoming classes, the rest of that week and the next week. What we have done now is we've combined Tuesday mornings and our Wednesdays, so you're only getting 2 emails regularly from me. This is because I kept getting sent stuff that I needed to get out to you and I needed to get out to you. And I was like, I'm trying to limit those emails. So I'm going to bet you will see one more email in the week, but it won't be necessarily a scheduled one. It will be something that came up or something that we really wanted to get information out to you. You'll see one of those come out either later today or tomorrow morning because we've got some great information I'll show you at the end of this, a little sneak peek on that. So you'll get that. But I just want you guys to know, look, take the time to look at the Sunday and the Tuesday morning. If you're looking for information of things that are going on, it will help you. I did have somebody ask me about the Zillow information. I'm like, yes, you mean what I've been posting about for the past 3 weeks? Sure. And they're like, oh, yeah, I don't, okay. Folks, that was really timely. You needed to know about it because it went into effect May 1st. If you're clueless on what I'm talking about, stick around. We're going to talk about this. So notice this was what was in my newsletter, broker update, Zillow update. And then of course it went into effect on May 1st. Sorry, I didn't do any timing today, but this is what it said. Zillow was implementing a rule pertaining to their own website, right? So the IDX feeds go from our MLS to Zillow. Now, remember, Zillow does not get what we call coming soon from our ARMLS. But what they have now mandated is that if you as a listing agent are in coming soon more than 24 hours, in other words, if you don't go on to active in ARMLS here, any MLS, doesn't matter if it's AR or not, you will be banned. That listing will be banned from Zillow. Now, what's important about this is you need to talk to your seller about that, right? We've all had that seller call us and say, how come I can't find my listing on Zillow? You're like, you're incoming soon. It'll come on later, blah, 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 right? Right. Well, guess what? It won't. So you better have a strategy to talk to your client, and it's up to the seller. They just need to know that. And I'm suggesting those of you doing that right now probably need to make sure you have an email that confirms that you talked about this. Because if you go 15 days in coming soon, and then 2 weeks later, they're like, why am I not in Zillow? You never told me. We had that conversation 3 weeks ago, right before we did this, because the reality is you can't take it off the market, put it back on. Zillow is not going to take that feed from you. So please understand that. Okay. All right. So let's talk about clear cooperation. How many of you, I'm going to ask the folks in here first, how many of you are comfortable and understand what clear cooperation stands for? Do you understand what the clear cooperation rule is? Whether you like it or not, right, Jim? Whether you like it or not, okay? How many of you actually understand it in the room? Just, you can raise your hands. They can't see you online. Anybody? Yes, no, nobody's understanding clear cooperation, okay? How about on, It's not clear. It's not clear. So Roberta says, it's not clear. All right. Online, and I don't know how many we have online now, but if I can get any, yes, you understand it, or just some no's, we can't tell who is saying what, but if you could just unmute your mic so we can get an idea online, how many of you kind of understand this? Yeah, nobody? Nobody online. Okay. So, and I don't know why it says 2026. I copied and pasted that wrong. It should be 2025. So, the NAR clear cooperation policy as of today, right, requires that within 1 business day, not 24 hours, 1 business day of publicly marketing a property, the listing broker must submit the listing to the MLS for cooperation with other MLS participants. Now, MLS participants do not include Zillow or any of those that go through the IDX feeds. So what this is saying is you have to go into coming soon or active within that 1 business day, right? And so that's, yeah, it's not really clear because that's not what that says, right? If you don't know that the other MLS participants are getting it on the coming soon, Realtor.com, Homes.com, Zillow, those are IDX feeds. Those are separate. We're just talking ARMLS to other participants, other brokers that are looking at that MLS can see it, okay? 1 business day. You take the listing on Thursday, you put the sign in the yard on Friday. That is when it's publicly being visible, right? So what day does it have to be coming soon in the MLS?
Monday.
Monday. Monday. So some people thought, well, it has to be up on Saturday, has to be there. No. It says 1 business day. With this new Zillow issue, first of all, they won't see the coming soon. So if that sign is out on Friday and you want it to go on Zillow, when does it have to be active?
Saturday.
Active on Saturday. Okay, 24 hours. Again, your client's choice on how they want to deal with this. You're doing a lot of open houses. Are you counting on people to go through Zillow to go to those open houses? So something to think about, right? The open house feed that a lot of people a lot of realtors are hoping that their stuff is going into Zillow because they're trying to get that in there and make sure they're on that open house feed. And look, we'll talk about this. I'm sure there'll be people that are not happy with this. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just saying you need to think about the consequences, because if that's something you do a lot of, and by the way, if you're doing open houses for other agents, check to see if it's on Zillow, right? If that's important to you, if you feel like you get traffic that way. Again, all your choice, but something to keep in mind. So public marketing. This is where a lot of people didn't understand this. Yard signs, flyers in windows, digital marketing on public facing websites, and social media posts, right? Because social media posts, 99% of the time are going to the general public. Now, what happens if you have a private Facebook group? Private Facebook group.
Not public.
It's not public, right? So you are able to share within a private group. If you have had a Facebook group, I don't know, let's say Desert Ridge townhomes, right? Desert Ridge townhomes, you've curated this Facebook group, you have worked with them, you've got that fine-tuned, you've got people responding to the new restaurants, you're talking to them about all this, and you have a new listing coming up in a condo or townhome in Desert Ridge, and you want to put that to your private group. Can you?
Yes.
You certainly can, right? May not be on Zillow, but you can absolutely put it on there, right? That's fine, right?
All 11 people can see.
Well, hopefully you have more than 11 people, right? But it is private. So a lot of people said, well, what happens if somebody on that group is from some other company? It's fine. They're on your private group. They're allowed as a consumer to be on your group. Does that make sense? I got some blank stares here. Jim?
I'm just trying to figure out how Zillow monitors that.
They're not going to, because that they can't see, because that's private.
No, well, for example, I live in Track Crossman has a homeowner only page, not mine.
Right.
To me, that would be public,
That is public, because that's not your private group.
but and people post new listings or coming soon listings in there all the time.
Mm.
And my question is, so that Zillow's not gonna know that. And, you know, it says something to the effect it's gonna be on MLS Monday or whatever.
Right.
But, you know, so it's going out. In theory, it is private because you've got to be approved to get into that. You got to live there in order to
Right.
get into the Sky Crossing HOA page. But I'm just, you know, I'm sorry.
No, good
I
question.
deal with workaround.
Right.
I'm always.
So I just need to make sure somebody online, I cannot see you, somebody online, open your mic and tell me if you heard what Jim was just saying. I don't know if you can hear him.
No, we can't hear it.
I couldn't
Okay,
hear.
so Jim was talking about if there is a private HOA group that you have to be a member of the HOA, that the HOA has their own little page, and members of that HOA can post things, and oftentimes private different agents are posting coming soon on there, because it's not a public facing website. It is a private group. So, I mean, the question Jim is posting is, well, how is Zillow going to even know if it's on there? And technically they won't. And again, if it's a private page or website that is only accessible by being a member, that would fall under being allowed by the current NAR clear cooperation rules. Whether Zillow or not will like it, that's beside the point. I'm not going to argue that point. So, but personally, I would not, as a realtor, probably think to post on somebody else's private page. Not saying that it's wrong, but if you have your own, it is absolutely fine. So if you've been getting people, you know, and saying that you're going to have coming soon activity in that area, you know, and that you're going to keep them invested in coming back to you to learn the latest and newest things, there's nothing wrong with doing that, especially for your listings. All right. So there is something new though. There is a new NAR option with this clear cooperation rule. It is called multiple listing options for the sellers. The idea behind this, I believe, NAR is trying to give sellers control of how their listings are viewed and whether they want to have their their realtor have a private opportunity to privately market it and then publicly market it. And I believe the idea from NAR is that they want this control in the seller's hands. This has just been introduced March 25th. The implementation deadline says it's September 30th of 2025, but my guess is our ARMLS has already dealt with this. This is our coming soon here. Other places around the country have not. but my understanding is nothing is changing here because we already have this coming soon status. Other ARMLSs or other MLSs may not have that, okay? Is that what your understanding is? So nothing is going to change here, but they've added this phrase and I was like, what on earth is that? It's coming from a national level, right? Trying to get something all across the country. Okay, so there is a delayed marketing of exempt listings. So again, this is basically what we're talking about, right? This is what we have with the coming soon. This allows the sellers to instruct the listing agent to delay the public marketing on this IDX and syndication platforms, Zillow, Realtor.com, etc., for a period determined by the local MLS. This is our coming soon, right? During this period, the listing is filed with the MLS and visible to other agents and brokers only, not to the public on consumer-facing websites. This is catering to sellers who want a discrete pre-marketing phase, need time to prepare the property, although I never understand that element because if I'm going into coming soon, I really want those photos, but I get it. If they want it out there, but they need to fix something in the next week that's not going to be a part of the main photos, great. Or they desire temporary privacy, right? Sellers choosing this option must sign a disclosure acknowledging they are waiving and delaying the benefits of immediate public marketing. What is that form called in our office? What's the subject on, guys? Clear cooperation, coming soon, right? We have 2 forms. We'll get to them later. We already have these forms. This is what we're already doing here at Realty One Group. Okay?
So is this the workaround then, as far as like?
This is not working around the new Zillow thing. No, this is what's already there that people aren't understanding why this was set up this way. This is what NAR provided to give sellers that opportunity for that delayed marketing listing, right? To delay that marketing to the general public. How many of you have used this? How many of you have had a property that was not pristine and you wanted the investors to see it, but you didn't want to have the general public, the seller didn't want the general public wandering through their homes. They did not want open houses. They did not want the neighbors in their house.
No, you did.
I did.
I remember that one.
I did. It was horrible, right? So it can be a very efficient tool, right? So, all right. It also allows sellers to opt to not distribute through MLS to other participants or publicly market it, right? Marketing can also be limited to within the listing brokerage. Okay. Sellers choosing, office exclusive listing. Sorry, this is different. Office exclusive allows them not to distribute. This is not coming soon. This is simply an office exclusive. Anyone that lists with you, you are always able to market to Realty One Group agents and now Realty One Group AZ, both, right? You can do both. Market is limited within the listing brokerage. Sellers choosing an office exclusive listing must sign that confirming they do not want to list on the MLS. The listing still needs to be filed with the MLS. I have not seen that before. That popped up and I was like, I'm not sure where we put that. These are the ones we aren't putting in the MLS. You're doing the ER and we're not doing anything. I will let you know if ARMLS adds something, but right now I've not seen that. Yep.
If there's a complaint, this is back in the day. Here it is. So if this is back in the day, in the event you put a sign up first and then before we got coming soon status. If an agent complained about a sign and where's the cooperation, they could call the MLS and say, what's going on?
Right.
And then the MLS could call you and say, I need a copy of your listing to see if you actually have that. So that's really not new. It's just out there as a understand Big Brother could
Call and ask for it.
Not, and I don't know a company that has a policy to turn them in if you're
Right.
you're in delayed status.
Well, but a key point of what you're saying is a sign in the yard, right?
Yeah.
So the private listing cannot have a sign. Yeah, that was right. But so you need to understand if you're doing something that is going to remain a private listing, you cannot put a sign in that yard. or in the window or anywhere else. You cannot do any public marketing. Now, does that mean that I can't call Sam over at Realty Execs? Can I call Sam over at Realty Execs if I have a private listing? Oh, well, actually, I guess I switched the screen. So here we go. One-to-one broker communication. I sure can call one agent and say, hey, Sam, you and I were talking last week. You were looking for something coming up in that Desert Ridge area. I've got something coming soon. We'll be on the market next week. I can have that one-to-one communication. What I cannot do is send out, again, some type of mass email to my list of realtors that I have in my database. I cannot send out a mass marketing to 10 people that are licensed agents that are not with Realty One Group. Can I email one of them? Yes. Can I email another one? Yes. I cannot do a mass one.
Okay, so to that point, like, let's say we all work for different brokerages. I could call Kyle and be like, hey, you're with EXP. Like, hey, dude, I got this coming soon listing. Hang up the phone, I could call you at Realty One. And I could do that each individual, just at any one point in time, I reach out to multiple.
Correct.
I like that workaround.
So it does allow that to be there. And most likely you could probably look to our PV, agents that are knocking it out of the park. You have to believe that both of them are making calls to people that they know have luxury clients that are looking in those areas, right? It's a small community, right? But they're not doing a mass email. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Timeline and no opt-out from the clear cooperation policy. So the multiple listing options for sellers was effective March 25th. It didn't change here, so we didn't see anything because that was already in place with our coming soon in Arizona. MLSs across the country have until September 30th to implement this type of delayed marketing exempt listings option. Sellers cannot opt out entirely from the clear cooperation policy. Any listing publicly marketed, even after a period of delayed marketing, or if it was initially an office exclusive and then goes public, must be filed with the MLS within 1 business day of public marketing. Get a lot of agents that get confused with that. They're like, well, but we were just keeping it in-house. That's great. But as soon as you sent out that information and posted it on Facebook, you now have to get it in the MLS. You can't just post it on a general Facebook. Although Facebook, I don't know if anybody watched that, but a whole bunch of listings I got a whole bunch of my posts that got deleted because of links. It was very weird yesterday.
Because of ads.
No. It was how it was originally posted. So I must have had a tie through. It had to have been something old because I haven't posted anything on there a long time. But when you go into ARMLS and you say share and you share the whole thing, it must have had something to do with that because I got alerts that I had like ding, 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 ding. Your post was removed. Like I haven't posted in months.
I got like
Yeah.
9 and like.
Yeah.
Restarted. It said I was trying to get personal information.
Mine said the same thing, and
Yeah.
then I couldn't send any messages with links to anybody until it was removed. I did petition to have it like re-reviewed. Yeah.
So I'm not going over that, but let's go to clear cooperation in Zillow. So Zillow is now going to bar publicly. Oh, this is a bummer. So I didn't do this timing wise. Bar publicly marketed listings not shared via the MLS. And so what company is supporting Zillow's move? Obviously, I've got it up there. eXp Realty. Has everybody seen this? eXp is excited for this. I think they have a back deal is what the deal is. They have some deal with Zillow, I'm guessing.
Well, there's some brokerages that are trying to participate in just their brokerage
That'll be next, right? So who's that?
compass.
Compass, right? So as of May 2025, Zillow's implemented this new listing access standards. Their idea is that they're complying with NAR. Isn't that nice of them? And their policy is that if it's publicly marketed to any buyer, it must be entered into the local MLS service, active, by the way, within, now it says 1 business day, to be published on Zillow and Trulia. I think it's still 24 hours. I don't think this is correct. I think it's 24 hours. So, and understand that it says that if you want it to be published on Zillow or Truly, it has to be there, right? They are going to block non-compliant listings. Listings that are publicly marketed but not entered into the MLS within this time frame will not be displayed on Zillow or Trulia. They're saying that this is a significant step to enforce clear cooperation policy and ensure fair access to listings. What I have not heard discussed, and maybe we can get Jim to answer this one, but I have not heard what is going to happen if with Zillow's estimates, if they are not taking all of these listings that don't comply with this their version of clear cooperation, are their estimates then going to be missing, I have to believe, hundreds of properties?
Good point.
Well, they're so accurate
Yes.
anyway.
Well, yeah.
Skew that.
Yes, somebody said they're so accurate anyway. Yes, I understand. What online, somebody, what was that?
I was just saying it's going to skew the algorithm, so this estimate won't be accurate in the eyes of the beholder.
I don't believe that, Zillow will do it long term, and I also don't know how they know if you've had it in.
That's what
somebody's
Jim
seen it
said.
within one
That's what Jim
day.
Well, I think they will be,
Thanks.
they will be scrubbing the internet, which they do very well. So they can go out there and look at any public facing,
Maybe
Websites.
They're cool with Facebook.
Yeah.
And that's where that started.
or if they're working with EXP, EXP can certainly share with them who is coming soon
Yeah.
and still sitting is coming
Good.
soon. They're,
It's very funny because EXP was the first to talk about an in-house MLS like Compass, so they're just probably now from being.
right.
Yeah.
So, support these are their comments, right? Zillow has publicly stated its support for clear cooperation, emphasizing that all buyers should have equal access to all listings. They believe that if a listing is available online anywhere, it should be available on Zillow, of course, right? So, look, they're trying to skew their comments that say this is for the public while making sure that they're supporting their platform. No confusion there. That's very clear, right? Again, it's up to your seller. And it is, I think it could go either direction for sellers, whether they care or want to care, but you need to make sure you do what? Disclose, clearly communicate, right?
An email.
Yeah, I would be doing an email. So if you notice this, I underline this, that while Zillow prioritizes timely MLS submission upon any public marketing, it will likely display listings that utilize the delayed marketing option once those listings are available through the MLS feed. So I think to your point, Melissa, that she's saying she doesn't think it's going to last long. This is saying that I think other people on the internet are saying that Zillow won't keep this up. But right now, you need to make sure your sellers understand the implications so that you aren't the one being attacked, because the only option I can see is for you to lose the listing and them to list with somebody else. So understand that I'm not sure there's a way around that. As Jim's saying, find the workaround. Will it work if you just cancel it and relist it? We've been told no. We've been told your listing. Now, again, I don't know. Does it mean that it could go from you, Janelle, to you, Kyle, and they'll take Kyle's listing and we just make sure you're getting paid correctly? I have no idea. But
They have a lot of data too, like the MLS numbers, and they know the MLS numbers go in sequence. You know what I'm saying? And and if they're getting all the MLS numbers that are like 6-9, whatever, and then all of a sudden one comes on that's 6-8-7.
No.
I wonder if AI, I mean,
that's gonna
AI must
apply.
be driving the program that.
So.
possibly. So Zillow continues. So remember, Zillow continues to rely on the direct MLS feeds for the most accurate and comprehensive listing data. They're getting that IDX, that information from MLS, right? They're saying their policy is designed to work in conjunction with MLS rules, including the clear cooperation policy. But of course, they're creating a 24-hour, you can only hold it for 24 hours. And I think most sellers that were using the coming soon will tell you they wanted to use usually about a week to 2 weeks would probably be on average. There were a few that ended on a month, but I think that's because their sellers said we're ready to go. And sure enough, they were not ready to go and they got pushed to that month. Most people, I don't think were looking for the 30-day, but I think initially I've seen a lot of people use that week to 2 weeks. So Zillow's policy in May, they're saying, of course, supports clear cooperation by requiring timely MLS entry for any publicly marketed property to ensure those listings appear on their platform, promoting transparency and equal access for buyers. Any questions?
Melissa,
Yes.
what makes this even more interesting is homes.com is not going to bar those coming soon. They'll take it whenever you bring it as the agent. So it's going to be a competition. So Redfin's going to follow Zillow, but I don't think homes.com is going to follow. They're actually going to be competing with them on this issue.
Correct. And I think a lot of other people are not. First of all, I'm not sure they have the technology to scrub that. I don't think it'll be easy to try and track any of this. Jim, you got a comment?
Well, I can really,
Okay.
when the start date for the listing. As soon as it gets input, it can always be double checked by when is Armless seeing it. So Armless can have a date as to when it was input, irrespective of when you put in there the date that, oh yeah, I did it today. But we're trying to change that date. That date isn't going to be changed. So I think that's what's going to happen. My opinion, where this is going to go, is I'll list the property today, but I'll say no showing until next week. You can create your own.
Right,
Create
and
your own
that's-
company.
Create your own coming
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
But that will feed to Zillow immediately.
Thank you. That's the point.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And I have done that before.
So does Zillow
Right.
use a true like IDX now, or
Yeah.
does it?
Oh, they've
rather-
always used an ID. Their brokerage.
So why in our syndication tab on MLS, can you still check mark and uncheck mark Zillow?
I don't have
Melissa,
it.
You could.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to hear
Right,
Jim.
If they're using an IDX.
Oh, you couldn't hear Jim?
Yeah, I could.
Jim's comment was the date. We have the ability to modify the date it goes into the MLS, one. And the other option is instead of utilizing the coming soon to say, I'm starting the listing as active today. What is today? Today's Tuesday, but there will be no showings until Saturday morning. So it's active. Zillow can't exclude it. In fact, it's going to go to Zillow, but it's just going to say there are no showings available until Saturday.
And for now, in the public remarks, we can
So-
still say coming soon.
So Melissa Gasper's saying you could put in the public remarks
Yeah.
coming soon. With that, it just won't be under the coming soon status anymore. Does that make sense to everybody online?
Yes, but they'll still get access to the data, right? The IDX data on the property.
If you are in active status, the data will go to everyone. It will not be exclusive to the ARMLS feeds to other brokerages.
That's always been nice.
Yeah, coming soon is not syndicated.
I mean, this is a silly question, but why doesn't it flow with Zillow?
The
What was the purpose?
The purpose, okay, so the question was, why was the coming soon not syndicated? And the idea was to give realtors the opportunity to kind of pre-market or market to an exclusive audience. Because here's the thing, somebody from out of state looking at properties here and only looking at realtor.com, Zillow, homes.com, they were not seeing the whole set of listings. So the one thing we had an advantage over is somebody visiting here and they're like, oh, I'll just keep an eye on it. Well, you could do that. But if you want to see the coming soon, you need to be working with a realtor. You need to hire a realtor here in Arizona to make sure you're getting that data. And so it was an advantage
It
for
was.
us.
I use that in my open houses as
Yeah.
a closer to work to pick up a lead if they weren't sure. They're like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And it actually,
And it shows up on searches.
Right, because, and when you do a search of active and coming soon, the only people can get that are through your email links. They can't just go to realtor.com and get it. So it was an advantage for realtors. Huh?
Only valuable.
No, it's not your only value. Yeah, I understand that. So
Melissa?
we spoke about this earlier. The other company that is taunting the clear cooperation rule now is Compass. I don't know how many of you've seen, let's see if I've got this billboard here. Thanks to Russell Shaw for this one on a post, right? So it says, see 25% of homes for sale 1 week before any other site, right? So Compass is trying to market people to look at their listings and only their listings to, well, they can show other ones, but they want to give them this of their exclusive listings. Now what they're doing here, right? They're getting people onto their private list. So they're following clear cooperation in that they're creating these a private list. Call, I could post this billboard too. I could say, hey, you want the latest in Realty One Group listings, call me. I'll give you all the Realty One Group listings, right? Because I could create, you just join, hey, sign here, and I will feed you everything that Realty One Group is doing. So if anybody wants to go buy a billboard, there you go, right? Because they're creating that private list. So Compass is trying to create its own MLS. Any other insights on that? I mean,
Well, they're recruiting agents, because again, you've got the hook. I mean, it's sort of like a company in town that might be saying that, we'll get you 5.8% more if you list through us, because we've got the secret sauce. Is this the secret sauce? The secret sauce is a list of people, of buyers, and we can attach the buyers before they can see your listing with anybody else. Well, to me, it's very similar to what those guys are doing.
so, and I guess my comment to that would be, we've seen this before with the 72 sold type model, right? It's not the 72 hours, right? So I'm not speaking negatively of anybody, but it was the idea of recruiting that you're going to have access to this, not only the data, you're going to get the leads because they're doing the mass marketing. And now that company is not really around. I mean, they've transformed into another company. So
Can't get mad at the other team for winning. You gotta just keep playing the game.
yeah,
Yeah, that was smart what they did with it.
keep
I-
playing their game. Well, we'll see how smart it is if it continues, because gotta love. So, but this is Zillow's comment to that.
Yeah.
Right? So,
I know it's not like it's only within Compass, right? That Compass agents have access to.
Oops.
But wasn't there a part of the settlement, the NAR settlement, that said you're not supposed, that nobody is going to start their own multiple listing service?
mm-mm.
But I mean, I know it's not a multiple, it's just in-house.
No, anybody can start their own, in order to get everybody on board, in order to get the masses on board, you need the eyeball, the realtor eyeball, or not even the realtor eyeball, you need the real estate licensee eyeballs.
Right.
In order to make that happen. Compass is, but understand the genesis of, again, this was the result of San Francisco marketplace. And in fact, there's a lawsuit that a group of San Francisco real estate agents that had their own private luxury home market is suing NAR over this model as well, saying that it's forcing them to limit the seller's choices. And so, in their interpretation of the NAR settlement, is that that's anti what that whole argument was about.
And
You bring in fair housing, and you bring in, you guys are only doing this because who do you want to show the house to, and then you've got studies on both sides saying, does that negatively impact the price of the home? If you're showing it to 10% of agents as opposed to 100% of agents, did you miss out on a buyer that would have paid 3% more, 8% more, 10% more for the property, would you would you have been better off to have multiple offers as opposed to a single offer that you took? Is, and are you doing this in order to keep both sides of the, of the commission? Those are all legal arguments that have to be heard yet. So it'll be interesting to see where this shakes out.
And exactly what you're talking about, this first paragraph talks about what Compass CEO Robert Refkin has been vocally critical of the clear cooperation policy, arguing exactly what you're saying, Jim. Homeowners control over how their properties are marketed and potentially reduces their profits. He's referred to it as forced cooperation. Now, I would take the twist to that because what we saw during that 72 sold, period was oftentimes they were being limited to 4 or 5 cherry-picked buyers that I'm not sure, were they cherry-picked? Were they random? It was hard to know. I know on a transaction I dealt with that the agent came to me wanting to buy the property before we went on the market. They had been trying to get the listing. They didn't get the listing. I got the listing. And they wanted me to actually pay them a referral fee. That was even funnier. And I said, no, we are going on the market. We were going to go coming soon. And I said, you and your other agent friends can see this listing under coming soon and write an offer at that point. But what was amazing was the pricing of the 2 offers she gave me were below where they should have been. And yet she was trying to get the listing and had 5 buyers already set up. And you can't tell me that those 5 buyers would have been the higher buyers because she wasn't even willing to give me a higher offer. And we in fact went above all of that when we went on the market. So, there is some question on whether or not you're getting higher numbers or are you getting controlled numbers, right? Depending on how that is being controlled. So, right.
The crazy part of it, though, help me out. Is the real estate market the same today as it was 2 years ago?
No.
Will it be the same today in 6 months?
No.
Have we transitioned into a buyer's market? If that's the case, guess what? Sellers want their house on the market as soon as possible. And how important,
And there's a lot
is
of
this argument or is this discussion?
Yeah.
We'll
Right.
see.
So the private exclusives, I do think the private exclusives come into play when you're dealing with the luxury market. We know that in our office because we do have such a substantial luxury market. There are a lot of people dealing with those private exclusive, and how you maneuver that right now because of clear cooperation is of course a challenge. But they've given us some avenues to do that, especially if you create your own list. If you're going to create your own server of people that are looking for luxury listings that are buyers in that market that you could have on your custom list, you're able to market to those if that's an area that you're working in. Here this says launching the Compass Private Exclusives book. Now this just cracks me up, Jim, because you and I were both around when we had physical books. Real estate books. We didn't have what you know today as your ARMLS. We got our weekly printout of the listings that were there and you had to flip through it. So Compass apparently is creating a physical and potentially digital book of their private exclusives that any of us, any agent can get by visiting Compass office. I think we should all plan to go and pick up those printed copies. And let's see just how many of them they're making. So let's make sure they make thousands of them and that we demand our copy of these books. And they say that this is a move towards greater transparency and collaboration. No, I'm looking around the room. Nobody else here other than Jim and I. You weren't an agent long ago.
What did you rip it out?
I was.
No, you were okay. No, you just crossed it off. You crossed. I mean, no, you're not ripping. No. No, yeah, it was like a half page. It was a half page.
Oh, no, you mean on a page?
No,
Oh, so you had about 12 on a page.
Yeah, no, it was just like your little summary. No.
And way back, when you took a new listing, you would get a pack of about 50 little business card size plans so that you could use individually marketing. So
Okay, that's before me.
That was a lot of connection one-on-one. Trying to sell a house, right?
Yeah, remember, we had no mobile phones. It was a little slower. Things did not move this quick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
When
we did not have our computers.
At the book. And they would have a section saying they're
Yeah.
listing.
And it was always fun printing out the things because it was a dot matrix printer. So you would sit there and we go, did it, and then it would go offline and you'd have to figure out where you were to line it back up. And I bet most of those people don't even know dot
Looking
matrix.
around, it might not be a great example. Now, how many remember a phone book?
Yeah,
It was kind of,
And the phone
it
with the
was kind of
wall,
like
yeah.
a phone, you know?
Yeah.
except
The
it
phone
wasn't
on the
listed.
wall.
but the harder was, we had to, but we're driving around, we had to go find a phone. We did not have mobile phones. We had pagers. We
Right.
got paged to,
Yellow pages for houses, basically.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so Compass has actively pushed back against certain MLS rules. This is what Jim was talking about. They have filed a lawsuit against the Northwest Multiple Listing Service in the Seattle area, challenging their rules against pre-marketing and office exclusives, which, boy, that would be a real crazy thing, arguing that they are anti-competitive and harm sellers. But wait a minute, aren't we trying to be supporting the sellers? And it is the sellers that want those office exclusives, by the way. They often want privacy. They don't want a 3D image of their property
Yeah.
shown to everyone to show, hey, you want to come break into my home? Here's my floor plan. There you go, right? But Compass even orchestrated a pre-marketing blitz in Seattle, seemingly defying the NWMLS rules. Claim of co-brokering, despite their focus on private exclusives, Compass claims that the majority of their off MLS sales are co-brokered with non-Compass agents aiming to dispel the notion that their strategy is solely to double end the deals. Do you know anything about that? Yeah, so, I mean, we certainly have a lot of, coming soons. We have in this office, we have, our luxury agents do a lot of private, marketing. Some of those are double-ended deals, but not all of them. And again, because I can pick up the phone and call Sam at Realty Execs, if Sam is another luxury agent and we're going back and forth, there's nothing against Clear Cooperation saying I can't do that, right? So just some things to think about. Now, any thoughts from you guys on these?
There's other brokerages that have been doing that though. I mean, in a different way, maybe not as broadband, but like they'll be, like Russ Lyons said, everybody I've heard, pushes it out to all their agents because they have so many numbers and maybe don't push it out to everybody. I mean, it's not probably on MLS, but they've been doing.
It can't be on MLS. Yeah, if they're trying to do
Yeah.
that. Now, how many of you know how to post a coming soon to Realty One Group?
Yeah,
Yeah.
How many of you know how to do that?
like at the
a little while.
exclusive.
It's called One Exclusives on Facebook. Why are you not allowed to post those on our Realty One Group Paradise Valley? Because Art is on there. He's not a realtor. Roberta's on there, right? So we have Epic and Rock. We have other entities that are our partners that we allow on there. So that's why, and by the way, that's only Paradise. Well, it's not, we have other people that are on our Paradise Valley one, but it's not everybody in the Maricopa County-ish area, right? So if you go to One Exclusives, you can post on there and that reaches everybody. Now, is it really efficient? Probably not, but at least it's one step. Pick up the phone, call people, email other agents that you know. All right. So unfortunately, all these came through. Where does that leave you? Disclose, disclose, disclose. This is my point of today's meeting. Make sure you are talking to your sellers, right? Do you care if it's on Zillow? Do you want it to be coming soon for 2 weeks? Is there a reason behind that coming soon? If there isn't a reason, maybe we look at Jim's point. Let's put it on the market, say no showings until whenever, right? And, to me, when I was doing coming soon, you get a choice. Somebody calls you, can you show it? Yeah,
Yeah, well, then you want what you can't have. So if I can't see it right now, I want to see it right now.
exactly. And you know what? I had one agent who was very funny. I said, are you allowing this home to be shown? It was coming soon for like a week. So are you allowing it to be shown? And he was like, only to people that ask, because I figure somebody that really wants it is gonna ask me, yes, sir, we would like to see that property,
gotta
right?
buy it before everybody else sees
Right,
it.
and so that was the idea, because it gets people really energized. So again, Jim's point, you could go active and do that no showings until.
This isn't Jim's point. This is.
Melissa,
No, Jim's point.
Okay, not Jim's, yeah. What was that?
Melissa, how do you feel about going active? I have someone that wants to go active in 2 weeks, but not allow showings until the first Friday in June. How do you feel about accruing that many days on market? Isn't that
You have
isn't-
that conversation with the seller.
I
So they need to understand that if they're really going to go active in 2 weeks and then not show anything for another 2 weeks, I mean, they can do that. It's totally their call. I would not do that. I wouldn't be pushing to middle of June. Well, let me rephrase that. Depending on where the property is,
Cave Creek,
and it's a family home,
no condo.
they've missed the condo market anyway. Like the condo market's a smaller market right now.
Well,
If
yeah,
you're
and there's-
looking for winter visitors, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're going on the market in June for a winter visitor. It's gone. Now, if it's a
No, I'm
general
muted. I'm muted. I
professional
was
and
just gonna
that's
ask
what
a
they're
question.
looking
Sorry,
for,
honey, are you now?
it's not going to matter. And
Okay.
unfortunately, I can't mute
Okay,
anybody because I
take your
can't
time.
see them.
I was just gonna jump
Okay.
up. I'm raising my hand so
So,
if they follow me.
Somebody,
I was
can
like,
you
"Please don't bark."
can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. So, that's the challenge, is it depending on the home. So the reason I bring that up with, if it's a family home in this part of the valley here in North Phoenix, Scottsdale, Cave Creek, schools will begin the first week of August. People that want to get their kids settled and into a home before school starts want to be buying those homes by probably mid-June. So you have to look at who is your buyer, right? And I was joking, but if you are selling, looking for your winter visitor, they left. They're
Well,
gone.
but the situation is one that's out of their control.
Understood.
Okay.
So then you follow what they want to do. You can't control that. They're
Right.
controlling the timing. You're going to do your best advertising marketing you can to get the interest there and get it available and ready to show as soon as you can.
Got it.
So Melissa, the Zillow thing started May 1st.
Yep.
So should have everyone who was incoming soon gone active May 2nd?
Yep.
If they wanted. Okay.
Yep.
Do we know how many coming soon there are? Did anybody look at that person? Period. I don't use it.
Yeah. So, and based on the phone calls I've gotten that people didn't read this and didn't see it either on Facebook or through my things, I'm sure we've got people that they're gonna have upset sellers, right? I don't think Zillow gave very much notice on any of this to even be aware of those dates, but you guys need to know we have revised our Realty One Group Coming Soon addendum and the office exclusive and clear cooperation addendum. So let's see if I've got these here. If you do not know how to find these, you go into SkySlope. My screen is not the same, so I couldn't clip it, but where you see your top thing that says transactions and has a little picture thing, over to the right, there is a word that says more with a little caret under it that you can click on. And then up at the top, you will see office documents. You have to double click on office documents. And then on the bottom left, you'll see working documents. No, I think I have those backwards. Sorry. More working documents, then office documents, and then you'll see Paradise Valley. And you have to open the Paradise Valley folder. This is the Coming Soon addendum. This was just revised. There are two parts to this, and I've had agents tell me, well, doesn't just the seller sign this, not me as the agent? Like, no, guys. There are two signatures on the page you both have to sign, right? You're just signing two different things, but you should be explaining both of these, right? properties shall be placed in coming soon on the MLS until blank or until 30 days has passed. Do you have to fill in that blank?
Yeah.
It says orange something.
Oh.
No.
that's okay.
I have people tell me they don't fill it out because they don't know when they're going on the market. Don't fill it out. You just need to know that within 30 days, you're gonna go on the market. So get this done and make sure that you're in there. The problem is when you go to the MLS, it's gonna ask you, what date do you wanna go on?
That's automatic too,
Well,
that it
it's-
does it at the 30-day mark, right?
Huh?
Does it automatically kick over at the
It-
30-day mark after it's got it, if you waited the whole time?
So it automatically clicks 30 days if you do not put a date in there. So, while in coming soon status, the listing is not syndicated and not available to view on buyer portals or searches. You can email it out. It's not available on their portals, right? The listing is only viewable to other MLS subscribers, real estate agents as a means of generating interest. Now, the bottom of this says, the listing agent understands, right? We want you to have this conversation with your seller, right? Yes, you're the one understanding that within 1 day of marketing a property to the public, it must be listed via either coming soon or active status, right? Because how many times have you had a seller say, well, I want a sign in the yard, but we're not going to be ready to go, on anything for 2 weeks. Let me explain. The minute that sign goes up, within 1 business day, it has to be either coming soon or active. This is your opportunity to have that conversation if you haven't already had it, right? We're giving you the language to explain that and forcing them to see you're signing this, that in essence, they're understanding, I can't put those flyers out in the neighborhood. I can't walk around. I can't go to the coffee shop and distribute those when we are not going to public within coming soon or active, right? Within that 1 business day. Use this as a tool to talk to your clients. Now, we don't have anything regarding Zillow because we're not going to do something specific to Zillow, but you need to make sure that they're understanding that. So that would be something separate here. Now, here's that office exclusive, right? Again, people think they have to fill in this line. Property shall not appear in the MLS until blank. Guess what? Or until owner delivers additional written instructions. You don't have to put a date there. They can sign this and you can hold this listing as a private listing for 6 months. It's not going in the MLS, it's your listing. How many of you take your ER when you first meet a seller? How many of you get it signed that first day or shortly thereafter? Okay. How many of you do that if you know you're not actually going on the market for 3 or 4 or 5 months?
As long as it's less than 12.
As long as it is less than 365 days, get the ER signed.
Yeah.
There is a difference between the ER and the date you're going to market it. Now, I've heard some complaints that people don't want to allow us to do that. There is language you can put in the back of your ER that says owner instructs broker not, or to adjust the start date to match the date we go active or coming soon, whichever is sooner, right? But you've got that it privately held. Why do you do that? Why would it be advantageous to do that? Well, how many of you, it's just the strangest thing. The minute you talk to somebody, a week later, somebody's knocking on their door saying they want to buy that property.
Or someone suggesting something else, someone. in the
Or they hear a
area,
commercial about someone who will give them cash offer and they could
Right.
stay.
Yeah.
You say, right. So if they're starting to think about selling and you can get that ER sign, get the ER sign. Okay. You have the listing and you say, this is to protect you. Somebody comes to the door, not a problem. Here's my card. Hand it to them. You don't have to deal with them. Oh, thank goodness. I don't want to talk to them. Great. Just hand them my card. It's already listed. You don't have to worry about it. Right? Because the minute you walk away, there's going to be
Yeah.
somebody knocking on the door, right? So Please understand, you need to get the owner to acknowledge that they're allowing you to market the property exclusively within Realty One Group. And they understand that offers received prior to the home becoming available to all MLS participating brokers may or may not be the best or highest obtainable price or terms, right? That last sentence is critical. Please do not ignore it. Please make sure they hear that, you know? And when you get that crazy offer, go, remember, we talked about this. This may not be the highest or best offer. I would like to get this on the MLS, but I don't know. It'd be so wonderful not to have any showings. I wouldn't have. If you want to take what I think is $20,000 below what we could get you, that is up to you. Right? But let them know that. Communicate it with them, right? On the bottom, you're going to again confirm and make sure they understand. Can't put a sign out there, right? You can't put on public facing anything, or you've got to immediately go coming soon or active, right? Please make sure you're both signing this. So with the Zillow, I would say specifically ask, do they understand if we delay going active in ARMLS with this property, it will not be on Zillow at all. Right? Now, I still want to figure out what's going to happen with these estimates, because if they don't end up getting a ton of data, are they just going to pull it from the tax records, I guess?
Just because they're not displaying it doesn't mean they don't have it.
Right.
True.
They're still gonna have it, it's just, it's gonna be, display or not display. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not gonna impact the estimate.
Okay.
They still collect data, you're saying?
All right.
I mean, I think they should want to.
You would think so. All right. So I am going to share with all of you on here. It is our 20th anniversary. And with that, Realty One Group has come out with a special. 20 years is the unbrokerage, and we're announcing a special anniversary month promotion for our wonderful agents. If you refer a friend and if they join in May, you will get a year of monthly dues waived. If you refer 3 friends and they join in May, you will get your dues waived for life.
Put it on a billboard.
Put it on a billboard. So again, here's the disclaimer. Let me explain. We got some team leaders here. Referred agents must join in May. If they are still here on September 1st, and then you will get these, and they cannot join your team. So it's not a team building thing. Sorry. But I just, so those are the disclaimers, just so you're aware of that. But they must join in May. Please let me know if you've got interested agents that are considering making the move. So yes.
Can somebody that has formerly been here come back if I lure them back in? No?
Low hanging fruit.
Why?
They can come back, but they would get a returning thing. I don't believe you get that. I will double check it.
Double check that.
I will double check it.
Be able to do that.
Okay. But usually we have a return to Realty One Group special for those agents that want to come back, and we're sending out stuff to them.
Is there like a period of time that, like, does it have to be like within
Well,
like 2
no.
years?
If they're coming back, they've already been here. They're not.
So it doesn't
No, it
matter.
doesn't matter what.
Usually a returning agent, there's no referral because they've already been here. That's all it is. They would get their special, which would be, they would get a bunch of specials coming back. So, but I will double check. So any other questions about that? Please let me know if you've got folks. We're just looking forward to expanding and having other fine agents working with us. So let me see, I've got a Rock Title and Epic are creating or presenting a sphere workshop. Working within your sphere. It is from 10 to 11:30 on Monday, May 19th upstairs. So there's no CE for this, but gosh, if you've been trying to figure out how to work with your sphere and really start marketing to that community, this will be a great opportunity for you. Any questions online? I'm going to go in and stop my recording. We can just see if anybody else has any other questions.
Melissa